Hello, everyone. I am Tracy Themes, co-founder of Sofia Financial Group and Sofia Wealth Academy with my business partner, Kamal Basra. This week actually marks our 12th anniversary of forming Sofia Financial Group. I can barely believe it. We are a financial planning and investment management firm in Vancouver, BC's West Side. And since we opened, we've been dedicated to delivering excellence in professional, holistic investment management, and creating a platform for financial inclusion, education, and inspiration. We want you to be the boss of your money and not the other way around. We also believe that money is power, the power needed to create personal peace of mind, and the power to make the world a better place. Wise Money Talks is our online delivery method to help you gain control over all aspects of your relationship with money. This season is particularly dedicated to building resilience and the confidence that you need to move forward with strength and conviction. Money is never just about the money. I am particularly excited for tonight's workshop. Isabelle and I've known each other for years, most recently as TED speakers at last year's in-person, if you can believe it, TEDx at Bear Creek Park. She is an extraordinary person. She's the kind of person that makes you want to just get up and run around the block or do something wild and wonderful with your life. So before I pass this over to our webinar hosting team and Isabelle, I want to say a particular thank you to Sandy Gerber and her team, Joanne Loze, and Erin Seibel for managing the backstage details and all that goes into presenting these wonderful programs. I'm now going to sign off and slip quietly back to my sabbatical, leaving you in their capable hands. Have a great evening, everybody. Take it away, Joanne.
Thanks, Tracy. Before we get started, we have a few housekeeping details to share. We will be recording this webinar and you will have access to this talk along with other webinars on our YouTube page. We will be sending out the link as well as information on other upcoming events later this week to everyone who registered for Wise Money Talks. We have set time aside at the end of the webinar for you to ask Isabelle any questions or share personal insights. Please do not use the chat function for questions, but rather use the Q&A tool at the bottom of the screen. When asking a question, we invite you to share with us your name and where you are joining us from, as we have people registered from all across Canada and a few from beyond. As mentioned earlier, at the end of today's presentation, you will be asked to complete a short survey, less than a minute. And as an extra incentive by helping us with your feedback, we will be doing a random draw from all completed surveys to win a fabulous prize package from Isabelle's company. She will fill you in on the details. And now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to our first webinar speaker for 2021, Isabelle Mercier Turcotte. She will be speaking about how to create more joy and impact in your life and in your business. Isabelle is a brand positioning strategist and a business growth catalyst, as well as the co-founder and CEO of Leap Zone Strategies and host of leaptv.com. Isabelle co-founded her first business a few years out of her teens and quickly turned it into a 7-figure creative firm and is considered one of North America's top business influencers. A 2-time TEDx speaker with more than 2.5 million views, Isabelle is also a fitness fanatic, from being an avid yogi to deadlifting over a whopping 250 pounds. Isabelle's sole purpose is to empower 10 million entrepreneurs to rock their businesses and lives into shape. Helping us to reduce worry and increase our units of happiness, please join me in welcoming today's speaker, Isabelle Mercier Turcotte.
Thank you. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled to have been invited to kick off the first talk of 2021. I want to thank Tracy and of course Sofia Wealth. And before we get started tonight, we've prepared a quick poll because I love to know what keeps you up at night. What keeps you up at night? Go ahead, Lindsay. Is Lindsay there to actually go through the poll? I'm just going to go in.
The polls have been started.
I'm just gonna read it. So what's the biggest worry that keeps you from sleeping at night? Relationships, family, money, safety, business, career, health. I'm sure there's others, but you know what? Those are the ones that we hear the most. So looking forward to the poll on that one. Yeah. Money is definitely winning that race. Thank you for that. That's great. That's always good to know. Money is, you're in the right place if money is keeping you up at night, that's for sure. So what I want to do is, I want to talk about a 5-letter word that's used by the majority of the human race absolutely every day. Yet this word has the power to kill. It's a simple combination of letters, but yet these letters actually kill creativity. They kill individuality. They kill performance. And worst of all, that word kills dreams. And you probably guessed it. The word is worry. Just think about how many times a week you go to bed or wake up worrying about something, right? We're human, therefore we worry. I remember 4 years ago doing a TED Talk and on worry, needless to say. And I spent, first of all, I didn't want, doing a TED Talk was not on my bucket list. So I said no 3 years in a row. And at some point I just went, okay, Isabelle, just, you have big goals. This will help and this will create impact. But my biggest worry was to flub on stage. As you know, the second biggest worry on the planet, not on this poll tonight, because this is the money on this poll, but on the planet, the second one after death is public speaking. And I was petrified. I'm dyslexic. You need to learn your script by heart. You give it, it was at the Queen Elizabeth Theater. There's 3,000 people live in an audience and then hundreds of thousands more on a live stream. And my biggest fear was to flub in the middle and not remember. Well, guess what happened? In the middle of the talk, actually I was 5-6 minutes in, and then I actually ad-libbed because this is what I love to do. I speak and I ad-lib and I add stories. And I ad-libbed, but then my brain didn't know what came next. And I was like, oh my God, what comes after that? I don't know. So what did I have to do? I surrendered. I actually let the audience know that I was lost. I got the audience literally completely engaged. Someone that had practiced with me a lot in the audience was in the audience and gave me my line, and that was back. But I will tell you, I worried so much about that precise flub that, of course, I created it. That's how life works, right? We attract what we think about most. So I want to share some brutal facts with you because those are very important to know, as they're the base of what I want to share and how I want to share with you how we can tweak this. So 40% of what we worry about will never actually happen. That's ridiculous. That's like putting a 40% down payment on a house you'll never own. Now, 30% of what we worry about, watch this, has already happened, right? Has anyone here ever accidentally hit reply all on a rant email that was meant for Bob's eyes only? Need I say more? I've done this before and it took me a week to recoup. Now, 12% of what we worry about are needless worry about our health, right? You get a headache for 3 days in a row and boom, you're worried now about having a brain tumor. Oh, and if you have the brilliance to consult Dr. Google, well, now you've got 6 months to live, right? You go from having a brain tumor to having just 6 months left to live. 10% of what we worry about are petty and unimportant, like worrying about what to cook for dinner or what to wear for a Zoom date, because right now it's about Zooms. So if you're calculating this, it leaves 8% for legitimate worry. That's just 8%, right? Which means that 92% of what we worry about is absolute nonsense. And that nonsense not only keeps us from being at our best, it keeps us from actually living. And I'm sure that you will agree that it's pretty safe to say, due to these stats, that we all worry too much, that worrying keeps us in our heads, right? It keeps us from being present. I think we would all agree that we would be better parents, better leaders, better friends, better clients, better suppliers, better lovers, if we worried a little bit less. Am I right? Or am I right? See, the thing is, worrying is not the root of the problem. It's the symptom. And for the past 25 years, I've been completely obsessed with what causes worry versus peace of mind. And I noticed a very interesting pattern. And it goes like this. What you tolerate, you worry about. So what you're tolerating in your life, big or small, you will end up worrying about. And what that means is also what you say yes to when you really want to say no, right? Or should say no, is what you tolerate. And what you tolerate will sooner or later always drive you to worry. Now, why do we worry so much, right? I've asked this question to thousands of people over the years. And here are the most common points. We tolerate a lot because, one, we don't want to disappoint others. We don't want to create conflicts. A lot of us hate conflicts. We tolerate because we have a fear of saying no. We also have a fear of losing something, right? Nobody wants to lose anything. We tolerate because we want to avoid difficult conversations. We don't want to open cans of worms. And sometimes we just plain don't know that we're tolerating. And in my opinion, tolerating is the #1 bulb dimmer, worry creator, and performance killer of all times. Now, 1980 was the year when I had my first face-to-face collision with worry. This is me. I'm 9 years old on there, full of life. And as you can see, I'm also absolutely unaware of my slight fashion deficiency. If you look at those glasses, I can't even believe that my mom bought those for me. Come on. But what you can't see in this picture is that I am eaten alive by worry, which is ridiculous, right? What have I got to worry about? I'm 9 years old, for crying out loud. I've got a roof over my head, mortgage free. I've got food on the table. I've got my favorite color pens in my pencil case. And most importantly, I've got parents who absolutely adore me. Yet for an entire week, which felt like months at the time, all my energy, all of it, is spent avoiding at all costs one girl, and her name is Stephanie the bully. Why do I want to avoid her? Because Stephanie has decided that in order for me to prove my worth to be at school with this particular circle of friends, she's decided that I'm to steal her a pack of cigarettes at the corner store. Now, are you kidding me right now? Like, look at me, right? Does this look like the face of a criminal to you? No, but you know, if you focus on my teeth long enough, maybe. But no, and no is precisely what I want to say to her. I want to say no, but honestly, I can't bear the thought of the consequences that my no could and would most certainly unleash. And at that point, I am absolutely petrified. And I remember learning the biggest lesson of my life from my mom. One night after dinner, the phone rang, and I quickly reminded my mom. I went, "Mom, remember, I'm not here," because I know it's Stephanie. She answers. And then I heard her say, "Just a sec, Stephanie, Isabelle is right here." Oh my God. Oh my God, the panic set in. I was shocked. I felt betrayed by my own mom. But she said, she handed me the phone and she said very clearly, "Isabelle, don't be afraid to speak your truth, my friend. You know, if you can't say no to what you don't want, you will never have the time and the energy for what you do want." Now, at that point, I'm livid. I am not happy. But in that moment, something really, truly resonated with me. My back against the wall, truly my life changed forever. And yes, I did muster the guts to say no to Stephanie. And no, to my surprise, my world didn't implode. It actually expanded. So what if we took all this energy that we use to worry about this nonsense 92%, and what if we repurposed it to do something good, right? To do something positive, something more tangible than worrying. And as a strong believer that we're all of us here are on a journey to increase our units of happiness and of course our peace of mind, I created 6 performance principles. There's actually 12, but I'm going to share 6 with you today. And these principles, I've created them to help me repurpose that crazy 92% and help me live by design so I can increase my units of happiness. And I want to share those with you right now, if you're ready. Are you ready? All right. The first one is don't step in your own sandcastle. You know, you got to own and you got to know and you got to own what you stand for. What is your sandcastle made of? What do you wholeheartedly believe in? What are you willing or not willing to do to get from here to there? What are your non-negotiables? One of my wife and I's negotiables, Margarita and I, one of our negotiables is to take 12 weeks off per year. And we call that the 12-week freedom rule. Now, besides 2020, for many, many years, we've taken 8 to 16 weeks off per year. And we did that because years ago, I was always thinking, when this is done, when I've achieved this, then I will do that. And at some point, our coach at the time, Kevin Lawrence, bet us. He was like, what if you planned 12 weeks off and you actually peppered the work around it? What would happen then? But he planted that seed as a bet. And when you bet, Isabelle, oh Lord, watch out. So we built an architecture designed to take time off. So we planned the time off. We did not know where we were going to go or if we were going to go, but we knew that we were going to be off. So we created that architecture. The result of that year, a lot more joy, a lot more units of happiness, a lot more inspiration. And I'm so happy to report that that year was our best year yet in money generation and profitability, which is huge positive reinforcement if you ask me. The problem is that we tolerate too much and we compromise too much, and that dims our bulbs. I remember in 1 minute losing $30,000 at my previous company because I compromised. You see, I cut a corner to please a client and bam, I got caught. And it was to actually help a client that I cut a corner. But truly, in literally 1 minute, I lost $30,000. It was $30,000 in the hole. That's quite a hefty price for a mistake, right? You would think so. You would think that one would learn from that kind of a mistake, right? Well, if you ask me if I've repeated that same mistake again, the answer is yes, I did. I did. Why? Now, I didn't, thank God, I didn't pay another 30K, but I did because I'm human. We're human, therefore we make mistakes and we cut corners and we compromise. So a question that I have for you that's very important in this don't step in your own sandcastle, I call these leap of the day. So my leap of the day, my question for you is, what's one thing that you need to say no to, no matter what, to not step in your own sandcastle? Because as my mom said, if you can't say no to what you don't want, you will never have the time and the energy for what you do want. Now, the second principle is wear your lucky underwear. I'm sure that you've all heard of athletes' crazy little rituals like not shaving or not having sex before a match or wearing the same dirty socks for an entire season. I can't even imagine. And all of this might sound odd, but athletes know that their performance is a direct result of their daily behaviors, their daily habits, their daily beliefs, their thoughts, and their environment. They truly do know what they need to be and stay at their best. So I'm curious, what's your winning ritual? Is it taking a morning walk before the kids wake up? Is it taking a hot bath at night to melt the stress away from the day? Is it watching an inspirational TED Talk before going to work? Here is my leap of the day for this principle. What do you need to do on a regular basis to feel happy, healthy, and fulfilled instead, of course, of feeling worried? And most importantly, what the heck are you tolerating that is keeping you from doing it? Because what you tolerate, you will eventually end up worrying about. The third principle is what you see is not what you have to get. Now, I hate to break this to all of us here, but we are all full of what? We are all full of shit. Yes, I am going to swear. We're full of excuses that keep us from what we want, that keep us from what we need, and most importantly, that keep us from innovating. And the number one popular excuse that I hear all the time is either that's not how we've always done it, or that's not how it's done in our industry. And to that, I always say, you can't be unique and different and do the same thing over and over again. That's an oxymoron. At some point, to innovate and to move the needle forward, you need to do differently. And I remember years ago, the first business that my partner and I had was a graphic design studio, branding agency. And imagine that at the time, and still today in certain cases, at the time, the business model was this. In order to have a project or to gain a client, you would have to pitch an idea. And to pitch an idea, you'd have to sometimes work 3 months with many team members at creating amazing ideas and preparing a presentation to pitch that idea to the client, or at the time to the prospect. And you'd pay time and energy and money and genius to potentially get the project. And the client had all these ideas, and then they could pick to go with anyone they want, regardless of who won the idea, basically. And it doesn't take a doctorate degree to know that this is a pretty shitty business model to be in. And so Margaret and I decided that we were not going to pitch. We were not going to pitch for free. And of course, our peers gave us about 3 months to live because they thought, well, they're no threat, they're going to die. Well, let me tell you, the result of our no pitching initiative resulted in building a 7-figure business, working with global giants and small local heroes. We became the most awarded branding firm in Canada, winning us Business of the Year in 2003. We experienced 400% growth per year for 7 years straight. 0 free pitches. Here's what I learned in that moment. I learned that for every limitation, there is a successful exception, period, right? There's a successful exception in anything that we want to achieve, no matter what it is. So my leap of the day for this particular principle is, what are you tolerating that stems from other people's standards or limitations? Because what you tolerate, you will end up worrying about. The fourth principle is clean your gutters. I mean, we're all familiar with doing a spring cleaning. We all know that that's necessary once in a while. We spring clean closets and storages and basements and toy rooms and garages. And I am here to add a brand new category to your list. The category of people. Yes, people is a category that we often need to do a little bit of a spring cleaning. I'm sure that every single one of you on this call, live or after, when you rewatch, I'm sure that you've all experienced a high maintenance client or a supplier. You've experienced having a vampire friends, these friends that just suck all the energy and the life out of you. They just take. Annoying neighbor, how about that? Annoying neighbor, or a dysfunctional employee, or employer for that matter, right? A dysfunctional leader. How many of you have that one special, ever so special family member? I think we all have a family member that just drives us up the wall and that we have to live with and tolerate. But the answer is no. It doesn't mean that someone is in your family that you must tolerate, or that you must tolerate their behavior. Years ago, in that same company that I mentioned, the name of that company was called Scenario Design. We had a massive client, a very big client that represented 75% of our revenue. And of course, when you start working with a client, you only see, you have rose tinted glasses, right? It's the wedding phase. How do you call that? Wedding phase, the honeymoon phase. The honeymoon phase. You don't see the difficulties and the clunkiness of the client. You see the good things, and eventually, when some of these clients are difficult enough, you get to see the difficulty of working with these clients. Now, as I mentioned, this client represented 75% of our revenue. Now, at the time, we had a large team, and every day we had a huddle, and we had a hat, and we would pick a core value out of the hat. And we would talk about how we are in alignment or how we are not in alignment with this core value. And bless his heart, one of my employees at some point said he picked the value fun. One of our values was fun. And he picked the value fun, and then we talked about it at length. And then he said, "I have a question for my leaders," because we're two leading this company. His name is Leo. Leo said, "I'm wondering, based on all of these amazing core values that we pride ourselves on living by every day, I wonder why we're still working with this client." And you know what? He was absolutely right. First of all, I felt like a proud mother, because I thought, wow, look at the culture that we've created for an employee to be able to give us pushback and be able to actually debate us on our decisions. And I was very transparent and honest with them. And I said, because your leaders have lost their balls. Now, I had been thinking about getting rid of this client for a while, but because they represented 75% of our revenue, and because my team, it's important that I keep my team. I was thinking about my team. I was thinking about not getting rid of anybody on my team. I thought I must find a replacement before I let go of this client. But he literally reminded me that it's not worth it. As a team, we were worried. We didn't sleep well at night. We were starting to argue, and we were starting to dread coming to work. I mean, there's no amount of money in the world that is worth dreading going to work or dreading getting up in the morning. So I let go of this client. The story is much longer than that. I gave them 3 months to shape up or ship out, and they didn't shape up. And they were very surprised that I would have the guts to let them go, because they knew how big they were and how much they represented for us. But I'm a woman of my words, and I let this client go. And here's what happened. 3 days later, no more than 3 days later, we found a brand new client that was exciting to work with, bigger than this particular client. And they were a blast to work with. And I guarantee you, I would not have seen the glimpse of this opportunity had it not been for making room. And so, when the worry is greater than the loss, you know that it's time. It's an indication that something different has to be done. And the lesson that I learned that day, thank you, Leo, is as difficult as it may be, you need to have the guts to close a door for a better one to open. So here is my leap of the day question for you for this particular principle. We all know that life is short. So I want you to ask yourself, who is causing me more grief and gray hair than it's worth? And what difficult conversation do I need to have, and with whom? Because what you tolerate, you will worry about. The fifth principle is busy does not mean profitable. And I have not met a human being that hasn't complained about not having enough time, right? We all complain that we don't have enough time, yet somehow we find the way to fill our days with a crap load of unimportant tasks that distract us. Plus, we often feel obligated to actually take on other people's urgent crap as well. My belief is more time is like having a bigger purse. What happens when we have a bigger purse? More crap goes into the purse. Absolutely. So, did you know that we spend 25% more time working, yet on average, we are 45% less productive? Wow. We spend 25 more time and energy working, yet nowadays we're 45% less productive. Those are crappy stats. Want to know the number one reason for those crazy stats? Now I want you to be honest, and I'm going to ask you, who here look at emails first thing in the morning within 1 hour of waking up? Well, looking at emails within 1 hour of waking up, you know what that does? That actually decreases your daily performance by 27%. 27% is a hell of a big number. And if you actually mix it to the crazy 92% of useless worry, well, now you're well above 100%. You've got yourself a recipe for disaster. So here's the thing. I wholeheartedly believe that we don't need more time. What we need more of is discipline. And a coach of mine said to me years ago, he said, Isabelle, there are two kinds of pain in this world. There's the pain of discipline and there's the pain of regret. And he said, I'm sure I don't need to explain to you which one is worse. Discipline. It takes a lot of discipline to live by design versus by default. It takes discipline to really understand and being able to decipher between the vital few and the trivial many. If you guys are familiar with Essentialism, an amazing book from Greg McKeown, this is a book of less but better. And if you have not read it, I highly recommend that you do. It will absolutely change your life. This is truly how I was raised. I was raised an essentialist. And I was raised at looking at the vital few versus the trivial many. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm perfect at it, by no means, but I was raised that way, so it's more in my DNA, in my blood. Now, the first step to get rid of a lot of trivial many, right? A lot of stuff that actually don't create impact or don't matter in your life is to adopt a hell yes or no attitude. For me, when I make decisions, it's a hell yes or it's a no. The gray zone is terrible. Being in the gray zone is so costly. It costs you money, it costs you time, it costs you energy. And I have a decision funnel. If, for example, I find myself in the gray zone, I have to look at, okay, what would make it a hell yes? And if I can't find something to make it a hell yes, it's a no. However, I got to that by having a 3-word decision funnel. Will this opportunity allow me to create impact? Will this opportunity be fun for me? Will it light me up or will it dim my bulb? And third, will it allow me to create a profit? And by profit, I don't mean money solely. I can mean a profit of energy, a profit of inspiration, a profit of money, a profit of time. And that's not for just me, it's also for the other party. It has to be a win-win, otherwise I don't want anything to do with it. So hell yes or no. If you start implementing that just in your thinking, it'll make a big difference in not leaving you stuck in that hell of gray zone. Now, the leap of the day question that I have for you for this principle is, what do you need to stop doing to increase your performance and satisfaction level? What do you need to stop doing to increase your performance and satisfaction level? Because What you tolerate, you will end up worrying about. The sixth and last principle is smell the roses. I had a really big realization 10 years ago. I realized that my life at that time was absolutely spectacular. In 2011, my partner and I took 16 weeks off. 6 of those were in exotic locations like the Dead Sea and Petra. It was just phenomenal, phenomenal vacations. Margarita and I became best-selling authors. We celebrated our 20-year anniversary, which means that this year we're embarking on celebrating our 30th. And I think this is worth, it's definitely worth a high five, a Zoom high five, people, for sure. 30 years. In 2011, we launched Leap TV with overwhelming success. Leap TV was also picked up by a primetime station called Business Television, and it was promoted on all major cities in the US, which was a huge win for us. And we created and launched 2 major tools for our clients, 2 major online platforms. Now, I'm not saying this to actually give myself a beautiful tap on the back. No, from the outside, it sounded like this was a massively successful and productive year. Wouldn't you agree? However, there was one big problem. I did not enjoy it one bit. I felt rushed. I felt pressured. I felt worried, constantly worried. I actually felt the most incompetent. Sometimes you're on an amazing stride, yet you feel incompetent. That happened to me. I felt incompetent. I felt a little bit depressed, actually. I didn't feel like on fire and unstoppable like I normally do. And I felt behind, despite of everything that we had delivered and created and launched. I actually felt behind. And on top of that, I felt ridiculous for even feeling that way. I mean, it's ridiculous that one would feel that way when one experiences all these great successes and kudos. So this is what I learned. This is when I learned a very powerful concept. And the concept is consuming versus creating. And I don't mean consuming as in purchasing, and I don't mean creating as in Crayola crayons. Here is what I mean. When you're in consuming mode, you experience gratification, you experience relief, you experience distraction, you experience reaction. Now, those don't look so bad, don't feel so bad until you compare them to the other side. So in creating mode, you go from gratification to satisfaction. Wow, that's different. You go from relief to joy. You go from distraction to expression, and you go from reaction to freedom. And I'm going to give you an example. Imagine that you're going on a 5-day awesome getaway with your favorite girlfriends or favorite friends. And you book a chef because you don't want to cook. You buy your favorite wine. You're with your favorite peeps. There's amazing conversations. There are no husbands in sight or partners in sight. There's no kids in sight. There are no must-do to-dos with animals. It's just the perfect getaway. And then, of course, at the end of this getaway, you're like, okay, people, we need to do this again, same time next year. This was too amazing to not do again. So you book the same venue, you book the same, you say you bring the same wine, and we were all committed to come back the next year. When you come back the next year, it's good, but it's not as good as the year before. Same thing when you go to a restaurant. You go to a restaurant, you taste your favorite food, your favorite dish, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta bring Josie over here. She needs to taste this. You go back, you taste it again, and the second time around, it's good, but it's not as good. That's when you know that you're in consumption mode, in consuming mode, rather than in creating mode. So what happened to me in 2011? Precisely that. I was totally operating in consuming mode, and I was tolerating not having enough space. I know that I need mental space. I need stewing space. I need musing space to feel on fire and unstoppable. I know that I need physical space. I could go more to Whistler, and I could go to walk on the seawall more. And I forgot about that. I forgot to lighten up. I forgot that life is not that serious. Business is not that serious. It's actually a game. And if you view that as a game, it's a heck of a lot more fun. I also forgot to switch it up. Consuming mode means that you do the same thing over and over again, even though you're bored or your bulb is dim. I forgot to switch my schedule around. I forgot to take new roads to get to the same places. I forgot to deliver my genius in different ways so that I stay engaged and I stay in creating mode. And I forgot that life is about, the word I'm looking for is collecting units of happiness. Units of happiness. And you see, dreams don't come true in consuming mode at all. They come alive in creating mode. They come alive when you have the audacity to live by your own rules. And I remember talking about audacity. I have a quick story to tell, and we're actually doing well in the timing here, so I'll tell this quick story. I think I was about 15 or 16 years old, and I was tasked with, the whole class was tasked with writing a paper, a 30-page paper. Ugh, this should not exist. A 30-page paper on audacity. And I'm dyslexic. And needless to say, I do not like to read. I like to hear audiobooks, but I do not like to write 30-page papers. So I thought to myself, how can I demonstrate audacity rather than freaking writing about it for 30 pages? And now I'm a very dedicated student. I'm a grade A student. I do what I'm told and I do it well. My mom used to say to me, why don't you go play outside? And I'd respond, because I have too much homework. So literally I had a month to write it. In the first couple of days, I decided to do this. I took 30 pages of paper. I binded them together. I printed on the first page, audacity is ... I numbered all the pages. And then on the last page, I said ... this. I handed in a 30-page blank paper to demonstrate audacity. Now, what happened to me in that 28 days? Agony. I wanted to change my mind. I don't know how many times. And again, a lesson from my mom. My mom said, commit. If you were on a dive board right now, Isabelle, and you were to just launch yourself in the air, you would have to commit fully to your dive. Otherwise, it would hurt. So commit. Commit to following through with your idea. Now I'm going to skip the whole, I ended up having an A+, but he had me sweat like crazy, the teacher. He talked about everybody's grade before me, and then he had me go up to talk about why I did this, and oh my God, it was terrible. But what it taught me is audacity leads to bold moves, and bold moves leads to dreams coming to life. And dreams coming to life literally is this, as a result of participating and moving from consuming mode to creating mode. Today, Margaret and I own a retreat center on a magical equine estate property that's particularly designed for heart-centered entrepreneurs and leaders, and we called it Trailblazers, and where we help companies, we help teams, we help brands grow through positioning, personality, and performance. Basically, we're a strategy, branding, and coaching company all into one. And if I was to describe what we do in 2 words, we help people with outcome and overcome. So the leap of the day for this particular principle is, what consuming behavior are you tolerating that is not making your heart sing? What consuming behavior are you tolerating that is not making your heart sing? Because what you tolerate, you will end up worrying about. Now, decreasing worry, we do that by getting rid of our tolerances, as I've mentioned time and time again. And by doing that, we increase our units of happiness. But doing that takes a lot of guts. It takes courage. It takes courage to have the difficult conversations. It takes courage to be still and really tapping into what it is that we do want. and what it is that we do not want. And this is a brand new year, which means it's a reset. And this is a perfect time for you to really answer those questions truthfully, with audaciousness and boldness, so that you can reduce worry by reducing tolerances. And I know that for the past, I don't know, somewhat 40 minutes right now, what we've done is I've been basically forcing you to look at your tolerances in the face. And I think that that is progress. And progress deserves, in my opinion, to be rewarded. So, drum roll, please. You get a car, and you get a car, and you also get a car, and you, I'm just kidding. I'm playing Oprah right now. Everybody gets a car. No, in the spirit of rewarding progress, and in the reward for staying until the end of the Q&A section, and as a reward for filling out the evening survey, one of you will be winning my Build to Rock program, which is a 12-week of business growth coaching accompanied by 8 powerful training modules to help you quickly position yourself to be found, to be better resonated with your ideal clients, right? And to get your prospects to say, where the hell have you been all my life? The outcome, the ultimate outcome of Build to Rock is to get your business differentiation, or yourself if you have a personal brand, is to get your differentiation and your brand positioning in place so that you can kick COVID's butt you can kick COVID's butt. And by, of course, setting yourself to create more income, because when you're found and resonated with, and when prospects say, where have you been all my life? What happens is income goes up, impact goes up, inspiration goes up, and everybody wins. This program is valued at $2,500. And for all of you, if you want more information about the program, all you need to do is go to build2rock.com, build with a D, build2rock.com. So one of you will win this at the I don't know if it's at the end of the evening. They will, the beautiful team here will make a decision on that from the surveys. And what I want to also offer everybody is to, if you want to have an opportunity to get on an insight call so that we can identify the #1 point of leverage for you to decrease worry and increase your impact, your influence, and most importantly, your units of happiness, so that you can move forward with gumption and with confidence this year. All you need to do, and this is absolutely free, is to go to leapsonstrategies.com/rise and fill out our needs assessment questionnaire. Just filling this out will actually give you a lot of insights around what you need to double click on, and what it's going to be super impactful just filling it out. And for everyone that's listening to this webinar, this is absolutely free. It's one of my master classes. It's 90 minutes of pure gold information. It's called Get Paid Well for Your Genius. Protect yourself from the 3 major warning signs that your small business is set up to fail in today's economy. Again, go to leapzonestrategies.com, and the address for this is Get Paid Well. Absolutely free. It's entertaining and it's massively valuable. So your mission, should you accept it, is to pick one tolerance that you can bust before this weekend or by the end of the weekend. Big or small, doesn't matter. So who's taking me on? I know that we're virtual here, so I'm gonna rely on you to actually inwardly go, yes, Isabelle, I'm taking you on. So it takes courage to do so, but as you know, life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. So my point is this: by having the guts to reduce your tolerances in your life, big or small, this will lead to less worry and more peace of mind. And you know what happens with more peace of mind? With more peace of mind comes the freedom and the mental space that we all need to be the change makers that we were born to be. And I want you to remember that small pivotal shifts always leads to massive results. Now, I look forward to answering your questions. I look forward to learning more about your gems and your insights about anything that you've experienced throughout this presentation. And I am going to stay here. So back to you to move this evening forward.
Thanks, Isabelle. Whew. All right, going to take a breath here and whew, be in the moment. Before we move on to questions, just want to remind everybody that today was just our first of the Wise Money Talk series. And we have another one coming up next Saturday, January 16th at 10 a.m. in the morning to 11:30 with Dr. Anita Tanis. And it's health, hormones, and happiness. And she is also another phenomenal speaker who is going to be providing a lot of amazing takeaways. So I really encourage you to show up with pen and paper as well for her talk. And some of the takeaways for her will be what happens to our bodies and minds when we are stressed and anxious, how to overcome and disrupt negative stress patterns, hormonal regulation and its impact on health. So again, limited seating. So register today if you can at sophiawealthacademy.com/events. All right. So now we're going to go into taking some of your questions. And I know one that came up already, Isabelle, was if you could remind us what the name of the book is that you spoke about earlier.
Essentialism from Greg McKeown. I'm going to show it to you right here. This is a book that is absolutely worth reading. Greg McKeown, Essentialism. It is the disciplined pursuit of less but better. Absolutely worth reading. Him and I are probably cut from the same cloth. And this, if there was a book that sometimes you read one of those books and you go, I could have totally written that book. That's one of them. I wish it was mine.
Great. Well, thank you for that. I know a few people were asking, and hopefully we can type it up in the chat section as well. So people will have that. And now I'm not seeing, and just as a reminder, for those of you that do have questions, if you can go to the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. Oh, there we go. I have a question from Cynthia. She says, thank you. And she said, I had a very tough client meeting today that wasn't respect-based on their end. Your talk confirmed my approach, which was to step away from the work I was doing with them. The challenge this is one person within an organization, and I have a great relationship with others. Her question is, how do I move forward as yes, this interaction with one person is causing worry?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what, Cynthia, what I would do truly is I would have what I call a come to Jesus conversation, come to Jesus moment. I would have an authentic, real, vulnerable conversation with this particular individual, or at least the people that you do love and that trust you and that you trust in the organization. And actually, this might be a great opportunity for this person to raise the bar. This is what we did with the company, right? They chose not to raise the bar, but on themselves. But we gave them an opportunity to actually shape up or ship out. And authenticity and realness never loses. So you know what? The rest of the gang most likely don't want to lose you as a supplier. So, and chances are there's something for this person to learn. And if you're feeling worried and challenged by this relationship, let me tell you, you're not the only one. And at some point, someone has to have the guts to say it out loud. Hopefully that helps.
Thanks, Isabelle. Then we have another question coming in now from Jody. She asks, how do you shift beliefs to be in your leap zone?
Yeah, so that is through affirmations. There's a few things that I do constantly I call it get my head out of my ass and keep my head out of my ass. So sorry for my language, but this is how Isabelle comes. So, every day I wake up at 4. No, that doesn't mean you need to wake up at 4. Some people have kids and some people have, I'm a morning person. So, but I have an affirmation that I do every morning. It's an affirmation about abundance and about I am I am enough, and I attract ideal opportunities and ideal prosperous people and opportunities in my life. And I've recorded this with my voice, so I listen to this every morning. I also have a 20-minute meditation on getting rid of obstacles, on trust. So, and then I have things like I do regularly that really keep me at my best. For me, I need to learn constantly. So every morning I have an hour of learning that I do, and then I love to share. So the more I learn and the more I share, the more I keep my confidence really high. So it's about what is for you, what keeps you inspired and what keeps you confident. Sometimes it's about having regular conversation with a particular person. Sometimes it's about, like I said, learning or yoga, or when I'm really worried about something, I process out loud. So I have a couple people in my life that I love to process out loud with. And then, then they help me again, get my head out of my ass. So it is about, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. And no matter what age you are, you will always have limitation. I was with my coach today, and we've uncovered yet another limitation that I was aware of, but I thought I had busted it. But today it was confirmed. No, it wasn't busted. So now I've created a few more things in my ritual to really get that out of the way. And if you go to the Leap Zone Learning Lab, not the leapzonelearninglab.com, there is a very inexpensive program. I believe there's some people on the call tonight that have taken it. It's called the Mindset Mastery Code. And it's recorded by my wife, Margarita, and I. It is phenomenal for mindset, for building confidence, it's basically 12 habits, high performance habits to create more confidence in any economy. And I highly recommend that you do this program. It will completely change how you move in life and how you live by design rather than possibly by default.
Thanks, Isabelle. We do have another question from JC. I think it relates back to the first question. She was saying, wonderful info, but what if your direct boss is the problem and is a bit unstable?
Yes. Unfortunately, I hear this one quite a bit. Again, it is about, you invest more time at work than anywhere else in your life. So at some point, and I'm sure that I'm assuming you've had, well, let me ask you, and I don't know if we can do a little back and forth. Have you had a real conversation with this person, with this boss, and did it lead anywhere? Because sometimes when the boss is the problem and they're a bit unstable, it often leads nowhere. Can you actually just answer that in the Q&A?
She says, not really.
Not really, yeah. Not really, as in not really, you haven't had a conversation. This is how I'm taking this. So here is, first of all, this boss should absolutely have a coach and be coached to be a better leader. But as an employee, if you absolutely approach this situation by how this person leaves you feeling, right? Listen, when we work this way, or here's what I need to be at my best. I can't be at my best in these circumstances, or when I feel like I'm treated this way. It's a come to Jesus conversation. And it's not about being confrontational. It's about being honest and vulnerable and having a lot of compassion. And ideally, this person will listen. And, I'm sure that you're a very valuable part of this company. And I'm sure this person would not want to lose you. To me, I celebrate when employees have something to say to me. In fact, I actually give the floor. I create the space for that. So it might be that you have to have this conversation with a third party. It might be that you can just kind of take this conversation lightly, but honestly. But at the end of the day, you're not going to continue. You're not going to increase your units of happiness if you continue in the same vein. And unfortunately, they're going to lose your performance and your trust. And most of that has probably already happened, right? So I would love to have a deeper conversation with you about that, but that is what honesty always wins no matter what. And if there's something better for you out there, honesty will get you there.
Well said, Isabelle. Jody, who asked the question earlier, she did say fantastic response and thank you. And then she asked, what is your meditation to get rid of obstacle?
It's a meditation. You know what? If there's an opportunity for me to send an extra link that you guys can maybe put in the show notes, I don't know if I'm stepping boundaries here, but it's a meditation that my coach has given me. It's a few different meditations that I sewed together because I was tired of listening to this one and then listening to this one and then listening to this one. So it's a bit of a Frankenstein put together meditation. It's basically a remove. It's what's the Ganesha? It's a Ganesha removal of obstacle as a first part. But because I've sewn a few together, it's about 16 minutes, and I would be happy to share it if I'm given permission.
Great. Sounds like we can maybe do that with email. I'm not sure, but we'll figure that piece out as well. Yeah, but it sounds like a really wonderful meditation.
It is.
And also going back to JC earlier, who had the question right here, boss, she said, thank you.
You're welcome. And good luck with that. And take a deep breath. And at the end of the day, it's about making it a win-win for both parties, right? Always.
Perfect. And we did ask people to also share insights. And so Meredith Dawson, she said, thank you so much for the leap of the day actions. They challenge me to up level, yet are totally applicable and achievable.
Nice. That's what I stand for. When we do something that's applicable and implementable, people take action. Without action, all we know means nothing, right?
Yeah, no, thank you. And Jody's also saying, thank you for being so generous with all of your links and suggested resources. So very grateful for your support. We do have time and room for a few more questions if people want to send them in. Again, use the question and answer function. That's always helpful. I know for me, what stood out was it takes discipline to live by design and not by default.
It does.
And what's a good way to remind ourselves to do that every day?
You know, for me, it's first of all, I'm very scheduled. I put in my calendar what I know I need to do, not only for others, but also for me. So there's a principle that I didn't talk about, which is treat yourself like $1 million client. So, you know, if you had a meeting with yourself and then $1 million client called, I guarantee you'd be on that other line in 0 time flat. But what happens is we always put ourselves last. So at Leap Zone, the reason why we're able to accomplish so much in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, is because we treat ourselves like we are our own $1 million client. So when we're in a meeting with ourselves, we're in a meeting with ourselves. We don't take a call, we don't tweak, we don't change. It would be as if I was in a meeting with Oprah. Nothing changes, it's important. So by doing that, by putting yourself first, that really opens up, it starts giving you the discipline for living more by design. Because at the end of the day, if you're on a plane, the plane will land somewhere. But you know, you can either be okay with wherever it's going to land, or you can go, you know what? I know it has to go up and down. I know that there's wind factors, but I want to land in this vicinity. And to land in a planned vicinity or close by, you need to have a lot of discipline. You need to have clarity. You need to know where you want to land. And then you need to course correct along the way and learn along the way to land close to where you want to land.
Very well said. I remember hearing Elizabeth Gilbert had a phrase that she used called radical self-accountability.
Correct.
And that sort of fits with what you're saying, is about
Absolutely.
giving ourselves our own attention.
Yes.
That we would give to other clients.
Yeah.
We do have a few, there's still time for a few more questions if people want to send.
Free coaching, people, free coaching, bring it on.
There are some people who are saying thank you. A perfect session to kickstart 2021. Valuable time spent and ready to push the reset button.
Nice.
Yeah. And then thank you for this incredibly inspiring and funny, down-to-earth presentation.
Great. Love that. You know what? I do believe that humor really does help. And this is why I remembered in 2011, I remember to lighten up. This is why I talk about this, because man, we can't, certain things are serious, but we can't take ourselves too seriously. We can't take life or business too seriously. We're going to drive ourselves sick, right? So laughter is important. I love jokes. I love to have fun in meetings, and yes, things are important and things stress me out. I'm not above any of this. I practice what I preach and what I talk about every single day. You can ask any of our employees, any of our clients, they will tell you, oh yeah, these people walk their talks, and we work at it every day.
Thank you. Okay, we have time for 2 more questions. And then one of them is, do you have an evening routine as well?
I do have an evening routine. So Margarita and I are very different individuals. I am high energy, if you hadn't figured that out already. I'm a Scorpio, she's a Virgo, and she's down to earth, and I'm passionate and pretty much all over the place, yet very strategic, but different energy. So I have a morning routine, which is on my own because we have different rhythm. By the time I'm done all that, she's still in bed. We have dinner together, very, very clear, very important. We always have dinner together. And then we always end the day, which we go to bed together as well. So, when we decide that it's bedtime, we brush our teeth. Most of the time we brush our teeth together. We do certain things together because it's downtime and it's time to connect and it's time to talk about our day. And we talk about our day at dinner, but we end the day with a gratitude. So what was phenomenal today? What are we grateful for? It doesn't matter how shitty the day was. We absolutely have to share a gratitude. So we go to bed in gratitude and wake up in gratitude. That makes a huge difference. And that is by design.
Nice. And then Jen wants to know, what if you know all this, but still have trouble with self-motivation?
Well, that's something, definitely self-motivation. Find something that really does inspire you. Even if it's a little something every day that really lights you up. And it could just be one small thing. I would start with that. I would start with really filling your schedule, filling your day with at least one thing that really jazzes you up. And we're in a time that's more difficult right now. Everybody's suffering in one way or another. And yet, if you watch this in 2024, this statement will be relevant because there will be something else. But ultimately, it's about finding something, however small it is, that lights you up rather than dimming your bulb, and just start, adding another one and adding another one. And I think once you create the momentum, once you do something and it actually creates a little bit more of a spark, you'll want to do it more. For me, if I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to put my favorite song on, blasting in the house. I'm going to do a little minute or two of dancing just to get my yayas out. And then suddenly my energy is completely different. It could just be as simple as that.
Great. Well, I think you answered Meredith's question, because she asked about, besides meditations and affirmations, what other modalities do you find supports your shifts and beliefs? Well, dancing seems to be good.
For me, moving my body, I know that if the world is about to end and I do, I go to the gym and I pump iron, when I come back, somehow it's like, oh, I don't know why I was panicking about this. It's absolutely fine. It'll be done to me. That's why there's tomorrow, So for me, my body needs to be involved. I need to sweat and I need to create some difficulty, some like owie with my muscles in order to reduce the level of energy that I have. After a long day, I wake up at 4, I do my whole day, back-to-back meetings, and then I still have a ton of energy for gym and then dinner and then conversation with my honey. And, so I have to literally let it out. That helps a lot.
Not alone. A lot of people are responding to the moving of the body and getting physical. And
let's get physical.
A little dance party now.
But that's right.
But last question, and then we will just sort of wrap things up. But and Penny wants to know, who else are you reading?
Okay, there's a couple of amazing books that I have right here. One of them is, sorry, but it's Unfuck Yourself. Not me this time, not me. It's by Gary John Bishop. It's Get Out of Your Head and Into Your Life. And then another great book is Your Oxygen Mask First. This is more of a business book, whereas Unfuck Yourself is a little bit for everybody. But Your Oxygen Mask First. This is one of my coaches, Kevin Lawrence, amazing, amazing guy. And then my honey has a book called Sitting on the Fence, How to Love Without Limits. And it is a beautiful, you can get it on Amazon, How to Love Without Limits. It is, if you want to laugh, cry, learn, and completely turn your life around, I don't have it close to me right now, which is unfortunate. It's a red book by Margarita Romano. Sitting on the Fence by Margarita Romano. You'll find it on Amazon, and just a fantastic read. And if you want to learn more about Isabelle's quirks and the relationship that we have and how we've learned a lot of this, that's the book.
Great. Well, thank you, Isabelle, for such an amazing, fun, and enthusiastic and contagious presentation. As a fellow French Canadian, I also really appreciate talking with the hands.
That's right.
It's like, how do you, it's just ingrained in our blood. I love it.
When I speak live on stage, I ask for a lapel because I say, I am French, I need my two hands to speak.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
And we really just appreciate you sharing your time and your wisdom with all of us today. And you're a gifted storyteller, and we love all the stories. And I'm sure we could probably keep going with many more stories, but our time is wrapping up.
No problem. I would love to be invited back if there's such an opportunity. It was a pleasure for me to be here, and I hope that this was of value.
I have no doubt that you will be asked back. Thanks. I also want to thank everyone who joined us today and who asked a lot of really amazing and thoughtful questions and shared your insights and the chats. It's really been quite fun to be part of this process with everyone here today. And then hopefully after today's session, everyone will have a really good night's sleep and maybe worry a little bit less or do a little dance.
That's right.
Yeah. But we also want to remind everybody that at the end of the session, you will be prompted to fill out a very short questionnaire. It basically probably a minute in length. And as Isabelle mentioned earlier, by providing us with some feedback, it's going to allow us to really keep designing these sessions to really meet your needs as best as we can. And then you'll also, everyone who participates will then have their name put into a hat for a random draw to win that incredible prize package that Isabelle mentioned earlier today. So really, we really appreciate your feedback and any comments that you can offer us. We look forward to hearing from you. And then we will contact whoever the winner is later this week and give you all the details to move forward with that. And thank you, Isabelle, for that incredible prize package. It's really, I'm sure people will be jumping at the scenes to participate.
And you know what, just to actually, I love to wow and delight, and I love to surprise. So Joanne, make that 2.
Oh my goodness. Everybody is getting a car.
Everybody's getting a car.
Oh, you get a workshop, you get a workshop.
That's right.
Thanks, Isabelle.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate that. And again, reminder that we have the upcoming webinar next week with Dr. Anita Tanis on Saturday, and go to the website, sophiawealthacademy.com/events to register for that one as well. And then also on our website, Sophia Wealth Academy, we have a lot of resources, tools. We have the blog, we have the financial empowerment e-course, and there's podcasts, but there's a lot of resources that you can access online, and we really hope you take some time to go have a look. And also a reminder, we're going to be sending you an email with the link to today's session that was taped. And on there, we'll also share any other resources that we talked about that we said we would send you. And on that note, we also want you to share any of these information webinars with any of your friends. They are free, and we hope they'll, like to spread the word. And on that note, it is the end of our session. And again, thank you, Isabelle. Much appreciated. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And hopefully we'll see you again soon. Bye.